And we've got a very special guest today. It's all of you. We are going to have this be an open meeting that I will be guiding, but wanted all of you to be able to talk. Wait, got to go back. The joke is I'm the special guest, but really, I want to have this be an open meeting. So anybody who says in the chat that they want to join in and make suggestions about the upcoming events, feel free. And we always like to thank our patron members, Mantech, Onuma, and ABS Quality Evaluations, and all of our members, which is growing because of this event. And I haven't updated the slide yet, but we've got some new members joining. And we are interested in helping be a platform for everybody who wants to share their messages. So now let's move on to the part of the discussion that I think is really interesting, which we already have one event scheduled for April 28th at the DC government waterfront facility. It's right where the Safeway is. I've been to this place. It's very nice. And just to show you where it's at, it's right here, right next to the waterfront metro. So it'll be easy to get to. It's right up here in this building. And then after the day of events, we're going to walk right over here to the waterfront and pick one of these restaurants. We'll find out ahead of time which one and have a no host dinner afterwards to keep the discussion going. So let's move on over to the agenda that we have going already, which is the thing that I'm happiest about. DC government is an exemplar asset management organization in the United States. It is wonderful that it is the capital of the US that is so good. And they've presented in the past and shown how their asset management activities have reduced their interest payments from by $100 million over 10 years. That wasn't even their goal. That was an ancillary benefit that they received when they presented to Moody's bond rating about their asset management activities. And they're all driven through the chief financial office. And the chief financial officer of Washington, D.C., Glenn Lee, is going to give the keynote. And then his team of Daryl Street, Dave Clark, and Richard Dietz will give benefits that they are recently deriving and their future plans. And that alone is worth the price of admission, which is zero. Although if you go on our website, we are asking for a $45 donation for food and beverage. And nothing else is set after this. This is all hopeful, depending on people's schedules. And this part begins the telethon part of today's program, where I really would love to have Christina Benty come in from Golden, British Columbia. And I'm asking anybody who has excess frequent flyer miles to reach out to me and let me know if they can get Christina Benty to be able to fly in. Basically, she's got to go to Vancouver and then fly from Vancouver to DC. Somebody's already donating money for her hotel. So we've got part of it covered. All we need is some frequent flyer miles to get her in, because when Christina was the two-term mayor, she got her master's in leadership. And now there's a term limits. After 2 terms, she had to leave. But she's going around Canada telling mayors and leaders of municipalities and local governments to take an asset management approach. And she's the best advocate we can have. And by the way, she's a public speaker, and I want her to replace me as the MC for this whole day. because there's nothing like a government leader advocating asset management to lead a day about government executives sharing their interests in asset management. So, okay, telethon is over. We'll move on. So Dominic Townsend might not be able to make it to introduce Art Curlin, but someone from ABS Quality Evaluation will introduce Art Curlin. And again, this is a draft. The schedule can be all over the place, depending on um, finalization of everything. And Kahu is interested. We want Michigan Infrastructure to come and do the keynote for after lunch. We can reach out to St. Petersburg or possibly PAE Livable Buildings to show what they're doing. Denver Airport's invited. And then we also have invited the architect of the Capitol come and talk about their excellent program. And then we want to have a panel with other association members, Linux Foundation, Asset Management Council from Australia, which we'll get to shortly. That's a hopeful aspect of our plan so far. And then the program will conclude. And as I said, we'll walk a couple blocks over to the waterfront district. It's beautiful if you haven't been to DC's waterfront area. Quite a transformation. It is now a place to be, and further example of what good asset management does for a a municipality. So that is that day, and we're open to changing the schedule and inviting other people. But what we want is the government executives to be the ones who are talking. So even our members get to introduce their clients, but it's about the government executives sharing their story of their success, but more importantly, how they can be repeated by others. Because what we're going for here is the launch of a rapid deployment asset management network. We're really stepping up and saying we want to be global on that. And hold on, it's an aspiration that we're hoping for, but we'll get to that eventually, because the next thing that we have that we know for sure we're doing is on April 30th. And we're going to go to Capitol Hill, and we will help our members and our senior fellows and the people who have a message to tell their legislators get meetings with their Senate staff, their representative staff. And if we can, we're going to target the people who have bills that can benefit from an asset management phrase, such as the language that was used in the MAP 21, Moving Ahead for Progress in the 21st Century Transit Bill, that had a requirement for an asset management plan in order to get money. Shouldn't all appropriation bills require the recipients of funds to say what they're going to do with the funds before they even get them? And that bill also had $1 million designated to educate people who aren't familiar with asset management planning how to submit a plan. So that's part of our message, but we can help you customize a message for your legislative representatives in Washington. That we're definitely going to do that on the 30th. Now, here are the aspirational aspects. And if I'm going too fast, let me know. People, please throw something in the chat that says, Mike, what are you talking about? Or slow down, or however, whatever you think is important to guide me into a better presentation to you. But now I'm stuck. I can't scroll up. Okay, here we go. What we really want this to be is the Global Asset Management Summit, where we're sharing repeatable success stories from around the world. And what we're waiting to do is to have the Australian embassy host us for an afternoon summit that would involve a presentation by the United Nations and then success stories from our colleagues in Australia. And if that actually happens, we have good authority that Mayor Bowser will attend the reception on that night. Now, I could be shooting myself in the foot by even saying anything like this ahead of time, but I want you to know that this is where we really want to go. DC government has 14 sister cities. And if we get an event at an embassy, then let's invite officials from the embassies representing the 14 sister cities to come and hear about how we want to establish a rapid deployment of asset management best practices. DC government is already on board with this. And let's formalize the way that this is being successful in our capital city, do it in your capital city. And then once some of these practices get into different capital cities, they might emanate out to other cities or other organizations in their country. We're facing a world of problems together as a single human race. And asset management is a bipartisan approach that cuts through all issues. I want to say bullshit, so I'm going to cut through all bullshit and lets people work on solving problems and not fighting about things. So, for those people who pray, please pray. I am crossing my fingers that we will get word from the Embassy of Australia quickly to say that that's a go. And like I said, I might have shot myself in the foot by even mentioning that before it's confirmed, but I kind of wanted to let you all understand what's happening there. And then immediately following this presentation, somebody said they might have to leave at 3:25. This is going to end at 3:30 Eastern because I have a meeting with a representative from the U.S. Green Building Council. And so for the 29th, we want to have the AI and Federal Asset Management Summit. And we hope that the U.S. Green Building Council will host us, even though we know that they don't have a large space. It would have to be invitation only. But if we get enough interest in that, I'm already working with my congressional representative, Mike Quigley, his office, to get a space in the Capitol Building Conference Center. So, in my ideal situation today, immediately after this, we'll get a green light from the U.S. Green Building Council to have a location. But if that location fills in, we've got a place to bump it up and add a little more gravitas for the situation. So that was pretty good. I got through that in 15 minutes. And the whole idea of this was to get people to engage and say, Mike, you're crazy, or I want to do this. Jack Kelly wants to have that agenda sent to people. Jack, I'm only doing the full agenda on this web program because until I get confirmation from the Australian Embassy and U.S. Green Building Council, I don't want to. But like I said, I'm hoping that will happen so people could look forward to an announcement in the newsletter on Tuesday morning if everything goes right. And if it takes a little longer to get approvals, we're going to do a special mailing as soon as we have one or two additional components to this week. Now, in the past, when we have had 4 different days of events. It was overwhelming. We do not want people to feel they need to be at every one of these events. So that's how we're doing it differently. Um, we've got an abundance of riches. Even with 4 days, we don't have enough time to have everyone be able to speak. We're going to have 30 minutes and maybe even 20-minute presentations because we just have so much content to share. And Jack, give me a thumbs up or say yes if it's okay for me to turn you into a panelist. And if you don't, I might just make you a panelist anyway. Oh, there's a hand raised. He has raised his hand. So promote to panelist. So my idea here was that this would be like a meeting instead of a presentation. And with Jack joining us, Jack, you're on mute.
Hey, Mike.
Hi, Jack. Thank you for making this a meeting.
This is great. I mean, it is the reason I wanted to see a copy of the agenda is it's because it's kind what you've laid out, I think is absolutely brilliant. It's very ambitious and it's a tad overwhelming. So I need to kind of see this thing where I can look at it and kind of get my head around how it would work and whether or not just anyway, that's what I'm trying to get a hold of.
Yeah, it is overwhelming even to me. Um, but it kind of falls into place if we get an embassy. Now, here's the thing. If we don't get the embassy for a reception, we'll pick a spot and we'll have a no host reception and dinner on Monday, the 27th, and we'll get things rolling that way. Um, and we will do something on the 28th with this AI and federal asset management inaugural summit. Um, but I think U.S. Green Building Council is good because they have just launched an AI division, and I'm meeting with the person who's the head of the AI division immediately following this meeting. So, like I said, fingers crossed, they give us a foundation for setting things up, and whether it ends up being at their place or at the Capitol Building Conference Center, they'll be deeply involved. So, and I see that one of our members from the ALN Insurance Asset Leadership Board is on online now. There wasn't anything specifically listing that, but there will be because the CFO of DC, the second person there, is involved in insurance. So we'll definitely have something going on with that person and insurance. And if they are doing what I think they're doing, it can be that launch pad for rapid deployment of insurance and asset management in the US. Oh, and I forgot to mention, if we get the embassy, colleagues from Australia will be flying over specifically to participate in this week. So when we go to Congress, we'll be able to say, and here's our colleagues who is the chair of the Asset Management Council in Australia, saying that this type of legislation works in Australia, we should be doing it also. And I've got a positive response from John Hardwick, who is the head of the
Ipuia, isn't he?
Transport New South Wales. New South
Oh,
Wales is the state in
right.
Australia that is the most dense, has Melbourne and Sydney, has the most transportation. And he is not only driving transportation asset management in Australia, but around the world. And he's well-known speaker. So that would be great.
Who are you working through to get the Australian embassy on board?
Um, so thanks for asking. Carrie Lee Sinclair is part of the automatedbuildings.com community publication. It has been uh, a huge advocate for what the Asset Leadership Network is doing with the Linux Foundation's Coalition for Smarter Buildings. And she was at a conference in Las Vegas a couple of weeks ago. I mentioned, all this crazy big plans I had. And she was like, "Oh, I've got direct connections to foreign services for Australia." And sure enough, all of a sudden I get an email from the embassy in Australia. So we're actually looking for a connection to the Canadian embassy, because if we can't get in at the U.S. Green Building Council, let's leverage our connections to Canada to get their embassy. That would be nice too.
Yeah, let me know if you need Canadian connections, because Badwan Nyans, uh, he's the convener for Working Group 3, is Canadian. I mean, he's from Holland originally, but he lives in Vancouver and has connections in the Canadian asset management community.
All right. So here's the other aspect of this that I probably shouldn't say, but well, I was playing Australia and Canada off each other, and whoever went first, I was then going to use that to guilt the other one into giving us space in their embassy so they wouldn't be outdone by the other country. So as soon as we get the thumbs up from Australia, Jack, I will let you know, and that would be great to get Bodwin's support.
Very cool.
So I think I'm going to give people some time back. We so frequently go over because we're excited about all of the activities. This is one of those occasions where I can give people some time back in their day. And but before I do that, there could be all kinds of side sessions going on also, depending on how things plan out. Um, Again, those aren't fully fleshed out yet, but a lot of interest in this. And I think I'll close by saying that the reason why there's so much interest in this and it could be so impactful right now is that the rise in AI, it's risen, makes owners know that they have to get their information in order so they can take advantage of AI. And the information they need is the information about their assets. And having asset management governance provides the structure to be able to use the tools that are so rapidly evolving. So we are right in the right place at the right time with the right message. And this could be a very impactful year. So stay tuned. We'll be doing other programs with people who will be presenting so that if you're not able to attend in person, you'll be able to get a taste of what's going on. And depending on how DC government uh, conference center is set up, we might even be able to broadcast some. We might be able to record things from around the world and show short video clips there in person. And oh, I've got to mention that our member, organizational member, Mentor APM, and our board member, Jennifer Zach, have a project that they're doing, an asset management project that they're doing with 7 indigenous communities in Australia. And they're using web-based asset management to help them be better prepared for disasters, which they get hit by hurricanes in Cape Torres all the time. So instead of relying on lines of communication that get disrupted, they can beam up as soon as they get their generator going again and can get their internet going. Then they can report, hey, we need this vehicle, we need this asset. Which of the 7 communities is able to help us do that? And so she's committed to being there if we get that Australian embassy for the event. So thanks for jumping on. Jack, thanks for everybody for their interest in this. If you didn't feel comfortable speaking up during the event, please email me. Oh my goodness, I was putting chats into just myself, but I think most of you have my email address, but I am putting it in there right now. And we're open for comments and input on how to make this a highly impactful event.
Oh.
Thanks, everyone. Bye for now.